Good morning, Olketa. Happy Vanuatu Digital Week 2026. This morning, when they welcome you, lo Storian Bluimi, lo Digital Week, I think hemna hemi face Storian, whereby you cut lo this week. And you tell them thank you, lo Committee lo Digital Week, where only have started more few me with them this panel lo this morning. Mi wandem welcome all panelists plo yumi we only start pote yumi lo this morning. Imi kat next lo mi hemi Gary Sufong we hemi CEO lo Digicel Vanuatu. Also next lo hemi imi kat Ifret Wipi we hemi CTO lo Vodafone Vanuatu. And yumi kat next lo hem we hemi Dr. Chef Karai, where hemi got planned a role pet lo, but today hemi represent them one, hemi also one consultant lo cyber and digital forensic Pacific, and last but not least hemi got Dickinson Davy, where hemi Secretary General lo Vanuatu Red Cross Society. Please join me by simi welcome all expert here lo panel play lo this morning. So session blow you mean by me start now, yeah? After lo welcome, you want them first something by me make one short prayer as you me start them session blow me. So me pray. Father, thank you lo time when me fly you sit down, lo talk about all issues lo this fella country, especially to do with them digital services. We will like pray, but you start with them discussions where we will like out them panel and by you lead me fella as we like discuss them all opportunities, all challenges whereby we like have talk about inform them people you this country. Thank you, Father, be with us until we like finish this morning. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. So this morning session play me hemi on hemi come under lo main topic where hemi dalam say strengthening digital resilience in a connected world. Hemi one big fella thing where hemi one global theme plo ITU hemi set them plo today hemi celebrate them. Hemi used to celebrate ICT days, but now yeah hemi call them digital week. But globally, by celebration, hemi start number 17 of this month. Big fella ting here now. But plo yumi lo sessionia hemi talam se resilient communities and systems. English talk now hemi talam se resilient communities and systems. So hemi na ba hemi discuss them today. We just read him little bit lo one theme by me read him lo English. In a world that increasingly depends on uninterrupted connectivity, the resilience of our digital networks is essential. Digital lines, terrestrial networks, submarine cables, satellites, and data systems form the backbone of our communities and economy. World Telecommunication and Information Society Day 2026 call on governments, industry, and communities to strengthen the digital lifelines that keep the world running. Join the global community in designing the networks and systems that can withstand shocks, recover quickly, ensuring that no one is cut off and left offline when it matters most. So, Mena big fella ting where you must have a ting lehem as you must have discussed this morning. Focus play you me lo national level. Hemi talamosem session by hemi explore how communities, institutions, and digital systems can better withstand, adapt to, and recover from disruption, particularly in the face of natural disasters, connectivity challenges, and evolving cyber security risks. It will highlight the importance of reliable infrastructure, inclusive access, coordinated emergency response, and trusted digital services in strengthening national resilience. So, expertise plo panel niya, Bambahemi, very invaluable in shaping our practical and forward-looking discussion, including lessons learned, current challenges, and opportunities to enhance resilience across sectors in Vanuatu. So without further ado, before me introduce the panel, me nemblomi Andrew Molifurai, me become lo TRBR, me work also officer in charge of internet governance and ICT. We want them introduce first panelist lo yumi, me Dr. Chef Garai. Dr. Chef bahemi focus discussion blahem lo digital trust, security, and resilience, cyber risk preparedness, systems resilience, and public trust in digital communications. So, Dr. Chef, having read what you're going to discuss, me sabi sa hemi one big topic lo discussion as an expert, a local expert, and also international expert lo cyber security. We want them you share a little bit about trust, security, and resilience, reliability, and how you must prepare to bounce back in times of digital disaster or cyber attack, and the experiences where you look past. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Good morning, everyone, and also hello to all colleague panelists. The assembly trust or security or reliability and actually one very big topic. We can go on and discuss that more than an hour or two, even a week. But we can finally start with me run down through context of Vanuatu especially and the Pacific, given that we talk about trust, security, and reliability, and we focus mainly on consumers or users, or governments or user, community as a user, or existing digital technologies we start out. So I think in opening remarks, we want to talk about the digital resilience stemming from trust, security, and reliability of context. Not only about technology. I think a lot of times when we talk about this, we say what technology or with digital resiliency, and not just about the trust or the preparedness or reliable system, and we come mainly the HUNA use. So it can be an internet user, it can be a school, it can be a person, it can be a community or government or business house on its own. So when we talk about that, we covering up preparedness or reliable, how reliable system is, inclusive access or availability, more coordinated response, go in line with the resilience during and after all disruption will take place. So I think first and foremost, people, when we talk about digital resilience, people or communities, government, businesses, well, over and all essential services, but we must continue to ensure communication and essential services, and actually inform the customer information our people, basically whoever we need in the time on emergency. Now, I got a few talking points. So I think first one, I'm touching on the trust in digital communication. Second one is cyber risk preparedness. And then you got system resiliency and continuity. And then, of course, giving one short remarks. And I think, firstly, when we talk about trust in digital communication, public trust is actually the foundation of the digital resilience. People only must trust them in the visual communication channel or systems where they use them, and also community only must have, or people in government only must have which system names are use them. And then, of course, when it comes to whoever's providing the channel or the internet, this is where trust comes in. Secondly is all communication channel or technologies used, so they must be clear. You must remove little bit of confusion or noise around misinformation and all. when we talk about digital resilience. And then if we are using any form of systems or platforms, well, it must be um, well, vendor and it must be trusted. Service and it must be trusted. Now, me provide them a little bit about people and also now comes system. But then what them core context blow and me discussing today in cyber risk preparedness is how now cybersecurity play low level below individual, community, and then it come national level. So you may look a lot of time, you may talk about all cyber attacks only happen all risk around technologies, but disruption or attacks when it happen too, when it not related to cyber, but then we come towards also natural disasters. So how can we bounce back or how can we prepare for those? One of them should make it. So I think best practice is preparedness. It must come before any incident, and then it come during the incident, which is the first line of response out there, and then it come after. Now, when it's digital technology or digital environment, how does system come into place? A lot of time you may look at earthquakes or cyclones hitting you, then people are running for communication, which is internet. Now, if we say internet, maybe the system itself can come up really fast, but maybe we should look at power, the power way, power and map technologies here. And then also, if we need to educate them or people be aware, say, if I am to communicate, what should I use? One am now initially, one am now trusted communication channel out there for people to use. Now, if it's from business to government or government to people, or government to businesses, how can the government support all business houses over those technologies before the threat or disruption, during and also after as well? So that is a bit on that. Now, system resilience and continuity, it comes down into play that you must get a reliable infrastructure into place. A lot of time, me down low past discussion or panel, me touch low critical infrastructure. Government or Vanuatu as a whole, you must outline them clearly. When I'm not in critical infrastructure, and when it comes to digital technology or digital infrastructure, what are they? And then value them and how we protect it, make sure we uphold them, and also how we offer those reliable service. And it must be important. Look out in me over no more service of Villa and Santo, but our Lauta Islands come into play. So those are some of the things. Although we have challenges which we've been discussing a lot in the past panels and everything, but in short, lo patlo remarks and them tell no also say when we talk about trust, security, and reliability, this is more personal view of me, or one way Mr. Look and work with them is that comes from a consumer, government as a consumer, business as a consumer, or community as a consumer, play use more technology or digital technologies we step into place. Once we approach it from that way, meaning that we have to take that initiative, trust, use more reliable communication channel, and utilize them every means as much as possible. Then maybe time we talk about preparedness or response, first responders or first line of response, and also post response by me actually, I would say in a sort of like a clear rather than chaos when it comes to disaster. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you, Dr. Jeff. I think by me got one follow-up question. My apologies, but for a question, me call some. That way you look back, probably last 5 to 7 years. When I'm now, me cyber security landscape of Vanuatu. What have we learned? And going forward, also you start talk about also forward looking, but we can also look back at what has happened, what have we learned, what are the progresses where hemi happened lo country me.
Thank you, Andrew. Looking back, Vanuatu from a national context, changes may happen that you may identify need block at certain policies. We've been cut ICT policy and national cybersecurity policy. Back in 2018, we provide them the directives and mandate to respond or to uplift them cybersecurity posture in the country. As an individual, before that, any issues with them technology or mobile phone or computers, it's all about the hardware issue. But then that slowly changed and we realized that all fault when it happen is not only from hardware, it could be a virus or malware. Now later on, we come go you may look all big flat threats or some ransomware attacks. Then we look from another context of cyber safety. We look at cyberbullying, and then you may look at organized crime activities only happen. Now Vanuatu initially, I think technology, this can be arguable as well. You may evolve one time when we write that introduction to the internet, you come into place time you may start involve and learn. So you may learn and grow as technology involved. However, post 90s, late 90s, early 2000, Naya, technology evolved so fast that you may try hard to jump and learn, go on board. So initially it was just building to implement or use. Security wasn't there, but now security must come one core. When we talk about resiliency or response, security must come core, and trust too, and we must establish way before any implementation. Because we not trust them one solution or one person. Maybe we tell information lomia, even though you're right, but me not think heavy. Or maybe we tell them say, oh, why one cyclone come or something, but me not think heavy. Similarly with the technology, there are a lot of solutions out there, but how can we go? So yeah, Vanuatu me change over time, me build them infrastructure plan, and I can say that I think up to date, you make a very good mechanism with STAP, where STAP helping me respond, not only respond to threats, but preparedness as well. However, with them statement, me tell them, I mean, it means if I'm 100% secure or resilient. In terms of security, I think maybe 50% or 60%. No one is 100% secure, but we can accept the risk. That's where cyber risk comes in. How much or where or which type of risk you have acceptable. Ensure say you use some service or for you and business, you take them up risk up ensure operations play me flow you go forward. We have come a long way in terms of cyber risk or cyber preparedness or even security on a context of cyber or national security. We have mechanisms in place where helping people identify all different threats will come in. Unfortunately, session there, really me provide them all stats, but later on, if anyone interests me, I will provide them a tool or context flow. One of you start look around Vanuatu. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas, Dr. Chef. Long intervention play, long responses. I believe say all viewers play me only. You may learn from one them where a local expert play me. He share them this morning. Mabay you may shift to call Gary. By me, you may ask Gary. He may flow digital. He may see upload digital. And focus for him to focus on network security, operational resilience, in strengthening digital resilience. But I want you to, because this is nothing new for you, like being resilient. We have had time and again, network has gone off. I mean, ever since Cyclone Palm until today, there has been instances where operational resilience is what you've been doing all the time whenever the network is down. And also I would like you to touch base on first of all on the network security side of things of the network, and then maybe speak about how you have grown in providing operational resilience for the connections for the network in Vanuatu. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Andrew. So I think from our side, we've learned historically, as Andrew mentioned, that in order to provide a well-connected and a streamlined and a smooth operation, that we have to naturally have redundancy and resilience built into our network and our operations. So from past natural disasters and even up into, if we look at the current context, the fuel crisis that we're currently experiencing at the moment, we need to ensure that we have those contingency plans in place across our network and our operations. So, and that translates to in terms of what types of technologies we have both inside and connected to our network externally through our partners and our parent company being Telstra. So I think on the physical network side, we've ensured that we consistently and constantly look at ways to improve the resilience of our network. We have multiple types of technology that sit within our network. The way that we connect the islands, whether it's to Santo all the way down to Tanna, we have different paths that the actual network itself can get to customers in those islands. So whether it's through microwave, when we get the second subsea cable in as well, from a domestic nature, then we'll have that additional resilience as well. So I think we're constantly looking at ways that we can work with different technologies to ensure that if there is an issue with one, that we have redundancy across that network. Operationally as well, we're always looking at how we can improve the service to our customers, how we can ensure that if there is a disaster, whether it's man-made or natural, that we have ways to combat that. So as I mentioned before, recently we're going through that fuel crisis. So we're looking at ways to make sure that we have access to fuel, that we have our generators well and truly stocked up, that we have backup supplies, that we've got our workers that have got access to fuel, both for our sites that run off generators and, basically from a maintenance perspective, whether it's just transport or getting our staff to actually regularly go and look at our sites. So we've consistently looked at different ways in terms of how we can improve that redundancy. We have, sometimes it feels like we're in constant business contingency mode, whether it's a natural disaster or, like I said, the fuel. We're always looking at ways that we can improve that and that level of resilience and redundancy across the network, and that extends not just to our physical connectivity, but also to our other service that provides, so our digital e-wallet product as well. So if there are instances where there is an outage or there's customers don't have access to normal services, whether it's a bank, etc., that we can provide that service, whether it's through disbursements of cash through our service after a natural disaster with some of our NGO partners, or providing network that can still work even if we were to have an outage with our sub cable and external connectivity to the world, that we can still provide those services domestically within the country. So while we have some of our platforms in Vanuatu, we also have additional redundancy that sits in some of our other operations in Samoa and also in Fiji and in Australia as well. So I think we've always looking at ways in terms of how we can improve our resilience and our operations to ensure that we have as good as uptime as possible across the network. So I think from a security perspective, we regularly go through audits on our network to make sure that there's no security risk, and that's from a data side, but also a connectivity side. So we have a cybersecurity team that's constantly looking across our network to make sure there's no bad actors that are trying to actually infiltrate the network or put things across the network to our end customers as well. So I think we know we've got a pretty solid process in terms of looking at, from a cybersecurity side, from a connectivity side, from a maintenance side, across the network, just to ensure that we provide that level of service, because we're well aware that the geographic nature of the country requires us to be able to do that.
Thank you, Gary. I have a follow-up questions. So you have mentioned quite a lot on the resilience and the technology. I remember in about just 10 years ago when Palm struck, I was at DCL at the time. I remember that the turnaround for connectivity, because it hit the core, like in Port Vila, was a few days to have the connection up. And so the question would be, how has that changed since then? The downtime and getting back on track. I mean, bouncing back. and also how has technology actually enabled that quick turnaround? Yeah. How, if you can share like an experience, has that been an improvement over the last probably 10 years for Digicel? Yes.
Yeah, so I think we've definitely learnt from some of those experiences. And as I mentioned before, we have multiple redundancy, not just in Vanuatu, but also offshore. So whether that's through satellite connectivity that we use, we have capabilities of multiple islands where we can still use satellite to connect Vanuatu to the rest of the world if there was a cut with the subcable. I think it's a bit of a tricky one because it kind of depends on how serious the disaster is, or the cyclone, or whatever the event is. If it's a minor one, then we would hope that we could be up relatively quickly. But if it was a major cyclone and it took down towers across the whole country, then obviously that would be a bit of a more difficult answer to give. But I think in terms of what we have in place now and the lessons that we've learned, we have multiple options and technologies to be able to enable us to still provide that connectivity. It might not be to the same extent that we would expect, but so we've at least got some service we can provide to our customer, and then while we're working in the background to get back to normal as quickly as possible.
What was the experience with the earthquake?
In 24?
Yeah, in 24.
Yeah, so from our side, our actual domestic network never went down. It was the subcable which had the issue, and that obviously cut the majority of the internet connectivity to the rest of the world. We did have satellite, but the satellite is not doesn't give the same type of solution or same service as what the subcable does. But we were still able to operate domestically. I think the reason that people run an impression that it wasn't working is because, as you can imagine, a disaster, everybody's trying to call, everybody's trying to message all at the same time. The network gets very congested, and it appears that the network's not working, but it actually was very congested at the time when everything happened on that day. But then, working with Interchange and Premet to get that submarine cable back up relatively quickly, I think as an industry all came together and made that happen. So I think it was about 5-6 days before the cable was back up fully. But I think the lessons learned from our side was to have that extra level of redundancy there to give us that high level of connectivity that our customers and government would expect us to have in place.
Thank you, Thomas Gary. Baba move ikolong Secretary General lo Vanuatu Red Cross Society, Mr. Dickinson Tevi. Hemi one narvala panel member whereby hemi talk about them communication and response, disaster response. Misabe Diki Valai got full of experiences with them people directly lo time lo disaster. Maybe by you share them with Yumi all communication channels we will assume one all challenges for him, whether you will use any narval standalone emergency telecommunication tool lo people and what when them now experience blow you lo them people lo time blow disaster. Thank you.
I think Red Cross communication is very important. From one disaster hit, Red Cross is a main function blame humanitarian emergency response. So when we will need quickly mechanism try current good information on the ground about whenever damages we happen, and then plus have current information and share them equal federation or network Red Cross Federation, so that all kita provide them all assistance, all emergency relief from Mula, so distributing all kita so communication is very important. Lo saya karam lo make response fast and more effective. plan the time kat kut fla information on the ground, isabe dilem response. So mi vla rely plan te lo effective communication on the ground.
Thank you. Bye mi ask molsem lo all experiences for you. Time when one disaster hemi hit network only down, for example, lately lo 2024. Also lo time lo cyclone where network hemi out. If I use any other form of communication apart from the traditional mobile network where you make at, to communicate with them, all people, misalnya say you got maybe share them small, all people play only station low, all places how when them na alternative form of communication where you got apart from normal mobile calls.
Normally, you mean cut all data finish stuff about people or locations. And time you may look one, for example, one cyclone time come, or time you may start look all estimate or predicted track plan. You may say finish where place and whenever how many population bali affected all places and say make him some idea finish lo mi what to prepare for. Yeah.
Okay. So, Mr. Question Rigoran, if I know use many other form of communication, radio or maybe another provider, some Starlink location, you got all person on the ground where you stop only, yes.
So we got Red Cross and we got 6 branch law Vanuatu. One, so we got one office law each province.
Right.
And on the ground we got all volunteers. So we got approximately 300 volunteers throughout the nation. Well, kita tu only start giving more information. So time we got kutula network, only call in, blow report them quickly whenever only look on the ground. And then I mean how we grab information like this. Post communication in town, it made it difficult. We no got all Starlink yet. Just I think so far we will able look at one lo torba be one disaster no test me will yet to all Starlink ya. Yes, we will got one IT in a box where Emi have access and satellite so that time where disaster hit IT in a box Emi continue to charge even without power and Emi have access and satellite directly. We will need to roll them out now and then connect with them satellite and cut the internet. By limited no more place be lol island now, but still difficult.
Thank you, Thomas Dickinson. By me come back lo back in, but me want to move call for the phone. We got CTO VP lo Blesia. Focus flow discussion lo hem the lo this morning hemi lo operational realities, network performance, in strengthening digital resilience. So, Fred, Yumi harem finish only talk about plan lo side lo responses mo all history lo disaster mo resiliency we network hemi lo digital hemi sta face mo hemi continue to improve. Maybe by you share with me or some all real net operational realities, more performance, maybe you got improvement of performance when them now all challenges where you may face them lo time lo disaster. And I think one same question when we been asking Gary, I think the last one, what was the experience of 2024 lo disaster year? So it's sort of a mouthful, but you share them some operational realities or some all experience, and then how him help or improve network performance. Or if I use some all experience here, improve performance for network. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. So, follow talk lo Kari after some more discussions we go. I think cyclone we've been mentioning 2015 PAM. I think I'm been one turning point in terms of resilience. After cyclone, every equipment, every infrastructure Ting change, pro make him say na you must build him every something strong enough pro handle him not only a cyclone but also earthquake. In terms of time we got disaster with them all operational issues, time to response, preparation, every something, I think pretty much the same. You use technology as much as possible to try and speed up recovery, but main issues usually where you may face them, around to do with logistics. Jimmy service Vanuatu, more than 80 islands, and we spread over 1,300 kilometers from top to bottom. After lo, not just lo karemo something go kase island pe, majority lo tawa lista lo hilltops, area where got road. So you may depend planted lo all communities closely assist. Just to give you one example of operational realities on the ground. Suppose you need to change one generator. Suppose one generator fail or one place where you got road. Generator you must transport to place here. You must find one boat first time lo go kase island. Find one passes, close up lo tower. After you must piece in generator. Transport them all piece go on top. Ale time kasem tower, you just put me go back to hell. So one something where you must talk about planting in terms of disaster recovery, helicopter assistance of donor agents when they come in. Majority of the time experience for the past few years, the past few disasters we strike. Priority blow helicopter go on our sector. Whereas communications is either sometimes left till last or left out at all. So lo disaster communication one of the most important something to bring back as quickly as possible. From place here now by you service one now all issues which that happen, one damage, one needs for different communities areas. So you got plenty challenge lo Vanuatu. Over the years, you must try to work with them all, NARA providers or in terms of logistics. You may try partner up with them as many as possible. A good nice, you may look say SSP with them some NARA company now let's set them up for fuel station, all different island. Please say help a little bit. Lo site lo make sure say all sites play you me only got fuel. You got about, I think, say Maclo Digicel, about 70% of our sites is still a remote area where you work low solar or generator. So you may always constantly need to refilling all sites. Logistics, anyone highest cost for thermal fuel, local custom site. Majority of the time, logistics cost more than the fuel itself. So a lot of time you may have a partner up with the SSP or all Narawan. Same archipel is the setup all different island, then it makes us easier for us in terms of operational costs, also getting fuel to sites on time. So those are some of the challenges, the realities on the ground. Also, you may deal plenty with them all landowner issues. Sometimes you got issue lo tawa. Miss all boy is that try block kasem tawa block fixing mo sort them out. Sometimes landowner only block them for whatever reason. You must sort them out issue your first time before we can actually get to the tower to fix the issues. So there's quite a lot of challenges that I Vanuatu, but I think you must try to work every time, bro. Find them different ways, bro. Make sure say network is resilient as possible and serving the people for as much time as it can.
Thank you too much, Everett Law, for the phone. Me harem is mi harem all challenges all face and one name all stop me came. Imi got a bit of time. Stop. Mr. Tok lo you where you stop for you stop follow online. Suppose you got any question, you have a put them through by you must have a try and answer them. Mi want them directing you me come back lo is topic plo you me. But at the same time, mi want them each one lo panel members plo you me plo only talk about one him now gap where him stop between, you know, where he stop yet. Mi sabe se by you may not sabe go 100% plo, you know, plo provide them want something where 100%, but he got some gap where you may have him. Maybe one him now how now you may have tackle them gap yeah with them people or with them government assistance or with them help where is have a come where you need him but him no stop. So now yeah me want them start them another round back again as I think him final round whereby you me talk about also more final remarks where only have give him me before you have conclude is that you may have all gaps. You got all challenges where stop. How now by government or all partners play you me only have assist you me, especially to do with them connectivity, with them communications, or with them response lo where you may have lo Vanuatu Red Cross. So I may also have Dr. Chef me talk about them the side lo cybersecurity side. So by me go back lo Dr. Chef, you talk about financial some you may got some progress in policy. Maybe got some gap yet. When them now look ploy you where you may start move forward. Maybe you have talk about in relation to now yeah where artificial intelligence may come one something where people only start ploy use them. Maybe got all disclosure what sort of gap and what sort of assistance you must have a karem blow help blow, you know, minimize them risk lo place yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. Time me tell them cyber security or resilience towards connectivity or natural disasters and stuff. Caps me quite wide, yeah. But let me respond to another view is that the time we talk about trust and we come from a consumer or user or government as a user or business as a user. But with them gaps, I think it's the service we provide over. So government, I think all time law policies plahemos and you ask them and we touch planted law capacity or more effective centralized coordinated platform we allow them little bit of someone hemisphere is that data you must get that first and data plus how to respond when it comes to natural disaster. The context plus cybersecurity is similar. You mean cattle systems is that me mentioned too say we can be secured as much as possible. We need to accept risk, but whenever we look the field of cyber or national security is limited expertise or capacity to respond, and then low level below all need to cattle right infrastructure or platform in place. Now you come down low the challenge around all vendors, more solutions where me proprietary make them very costly, and there comes the need for financial support. A lot of time ICT or communication or some CTO for the phone Italia, me rightly tell me is that you may tend to leave out communication or someone last something, but which include budget too. We come learn. Government law policy plan, I mean law ICT policy law 2018, 5% of your annual budget, we should go towards ICT. That was before people talking about cybersecurity. Time cybersecurity strategy come into play, I'm asking another 5%, so which we're looking at 10% you should allocate it low annual operational budget play, blow equal towards cybersecurity. Another something is cybersecurity or use of technology to secure one and respond during or before, during or after one natural disaster to be resilient. Hemi one practice where all time you may reactive, no? So you must change some approach, always proactive. Me no look at least to my knowledge, cattle cyber drills government and Mr. Putumol CTF challenges or cybersecurity challenges, blow training people, blow ko lanem something pe or drill system blow fire or cyber blow respond lo an incident suppose one attack happen and me only no make too much. So that's something we must make. Now reason me is because attacks nowadays can be on the system. It can be from a supply chain. Me want them carry out one company, but me look service 90% blow operation blow me start lo power. So by me not attack them directly, but me attack one power. Something so those areas of understanding where place now most valuable resource play or solution is that plan play me respond them. So there's a lot of gaps. Me highlight them a few more. One, the right solution is tap into place. The critical infrastructure flow, CASM either business or CASM user. Plan socially respond in time or prepare in time, or and then the next one is the financial backing. But one something where you may not talk about too, I think you may take them for granted, is user must take them responsibility. Play step them up capacity, play more time, to understand them. If Minusavation service when alternative play stop. Otherwise, time you talk about accessibility, availability, or solution is stop mino go from loyam. So literacy in closing, literacy is actually very important play role. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chef. Ikamlo Gary. Yes, we have heard you. I understand there's this universal access policy where it was there for quite some time. I know disaster is everybody's business, and including the government, where we look at them whole country. But apart from the universal access policy, is there any way that you see as a network provider that where the government, is there any gap that the government, something else that the government can assist you with to make sure, especially in times of disaster like this?
Yeah, I think obviously we're working with TLBR on the universal access policy. I think it's an important part of our responsibility as a network provider in the country. But I think going on some of the points that the other panelists have made as well, and just being involved at government level with a lot of working groups at the moment, there's a significant drive to roll out this digital transformation strategy across the country. But that is largely reliant on having the network infrastructure to be able to support that. So, and that's largely being provided by ourselves and obviously Vodafone. So I think from our side, we would be encouraging the government to be able to support us to be able to deliver and increase our coverage and our that actually build out that network infrastructure. So there's obviously various things that we can talk to them about concessions on some of our spectrum, for example, some of our underlying costs, so the international bandwidth. I think what Everett mentioned as well about streamlining the land ownership policy so we can get easier access to sites to be able to build towers, working with the government and also Vodafone as well, or as an industry as a whole, to look at how we share some of our physical infrastructure. So it probably doesn't make sense to keep building sites next to each other all the time. So we can look at doing things like that. But yeah, I think from our side, it's we understand our responsibility and we want to be able to facilitate what the government's plan is. But I think we would be open to having the government help us support being able to lay out that infrastructure to provide the backbone for a lot of these things that we're talking about at the moment.
Thank you, Gary. I will move to Dickinson from Vanuatu Red Cross. Yumi Harem, you tell them about experiences, and the way we Harem, he still got gap time where disaster him strike. You also cut off. Got one something where Pambahemi, he helping you up, you can communicate with them, people on the ground, even in the time of disaster where network is down. So with a similar approach, he got gap place. How now you think you got support from Global Red Cross, But how can the local community, including the government, sabi support you lo sa idea lo time lo disaster? Thank you.
Thank you. So at lo side lo gap where me look also from all geography all islands me only plante only mountainous only so that you put one tower lo teaches lo TV stand lo top one hill. You say catch some signal lo ocean easy. But time you start moving land lo some lo area only out of coverage yeah. And plan the time we start thinking say by kutuma suppose example we got all funding also green climate fund plan the all disaster fund it should be made accessible or all providers yeah lo only trying put additional towers lo some lo place yeah where play make them see got make them see got continuation lo signal around lo one island or something or something from what them satellite satellite Starlink
Yes.
what them Starlink can we could pay from by you must have pay rental by can low cost when we think say when them will provide us only cut and service finish you just need them data no more pay make them access lo all nara areas you may need maybe more towers if that can be funded through some resilience funding way or global funding or some green climate fund, make them say it's a extendable network place where.
Thank you. Me wanda mas kemu tu lo sem one option lo communication hem radio through lo no traditional radio where is stop. Me understand say if like at some point.
Yes. HF radio.
HF radio, yes.
Yes. Lo few areas, especially lo area lo Torpa. La past few years, no more operated. In a while before you make it all mobile phones, yeah, HF radio na mi main communication tool and then you become rely more on Naruan, ale HF radio mi no more maintain.
Okay. Maybe he may want something where maybe he may revisit him back and thinking. But thank you. Last but not least, for the phone, me come back to you, Efred. Me sabe lately you make at challenge flow power where me fuel. But maybe you me one real gap where you expressed them previously. How now government maybe with them you got some partnership finish where maybe you cut is of talent, but how now with them support below government, especially department below energy. Misalnya got one roadmap, but how now me become one real something where support them all over, especially to do with them power. Below Vanuatu.
Thank you. I think we said renewable energy maybe. Low side remote sites playing strengthening the solar infrastructure. After you got opportunity to you may change them system instead of hybrid generator solar, you may change them, you go hybrid solar turbine. Where you may rely less and less low side renewable low fossil fuel low generator with them diesel. Place by have a reduce small operational costs, but also you must have a maximize and use renewable energy to keep the site up even longer. M2 is have a help side time natural disasters. The more we have in terms of solar, the less we rely on in terms of generator, getting fuel to sites, repairing generator. System become more simpler, more easy to maintain. So maybe in one side where you must have a look and say how now government is have a work with you supposedly got some plans, some islands in particular, maybe you must have a work together. Suppose some plans include some area where towers are close up, where you must have a tap into microgrids or things like that.
Thank you too much, Efred. I think kalau sabah ini finish, me just want them go back to topic play me resilient communities and systems. Maybe suppose you got one last talk where you want them tell them before you finish. Me give him a small time. You start Dr. Chef.
Thank you. I think in closing, you may have a lot of discussions and points from all the panelists, but one way we want them close to them in terms of cyber, but specifically on digital transformation or digital technology. You may take a leap forward or step forward. Commitment is actually very important if we want to step up resiliency or reliability or trust. Therefore, government must step in a lot. You may look, you may harm, or you may look all practices where may respond to one incident, but then support low, one challenge. Then maybe over year and year by Mr. Kutro something. So at one of my step is through policies here because it must get firm commitment financially, infrastructure too. You need more roads for customer last mile on remote areas where also we have a of ISP 70% of towers or infrastructure is up outside. Government must commit maybe through the shared infrastructure approach, maybe through the domestic cable. We must customer core centers planning, where place where we economically viable. Then from there you may repeat more shorter infrastructure equal remote areas. One thing too is you may look. Subscription below all technologies and tablet, mobile phones, laptops widely used. But then the high-speed internet there you must karam lo fila no mainly. With them one we mitala me require blow. You must ensure the service we kasam lo villa. You must kasam every small island. So there's no other way. But government must commit. We must strive. Not through policy but also action as well. So from that, in closing, in terms of security, we have done so much. Our country has done so much, but we need to step them up. Look before 2018, we Karamol report less than 20 or so. Nowadays, all activities when we look online, in an hour or in a month, over millions of threats. When we look, you must filter them out. They come as far as anyway, it successfully come in and we reduced from that number to maybe a handful, 50 or less. We must respond them. So these are indicators that we are moving forward. We're doing something good, but how can we stay resilient over and over again? Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Gary, any last intervention?
Yeah, so I think for us, there's a lot of good things that we're all doing, different industries, operators, private, government, etc. But there's probably three key points for us, and one is action. So we talk about a lot of these types of initiatives. There's a lot of forums, there's a lot of policy, but I think for us to, as a country, to come together and make these things happen, it needs action. And that's not just from private, it's from government, it's from NGOs, it's from a whole bunch of different people that are involved. But it's great to see the positive nature and everybody wanting to get to this end point. We have a really strong, resilient infrastructure. We can provide services, and not just internet connectivity, but also financial inclusivity as well, for services that people take for granted in some Western countries, for example. So I think action and support's one, and then the other key one for me is awareness. So there's a lot of good things that we're doing, but it's also how do we make the average everyday user aware of the things that we're providing. So it's not just his internet connectivity, so you can look at Facebook. It's his beneficial things for learning, for creating business, for entrepreneurship, digital literacy, financial literacy as well. So, making customers in the community aware of, now that we have this really great infrastructure in place, what are the good things that we can do to keep building upon the opportunities that are available to the community. So, if we have a digital infrastructure which is conducive to providing financial services and learning, connectivity, business opportunities, etc. And the government is fully supportive and everybody's aware, then I think we can see, the country take leaps and bounds ahead as we move forward.
Thank you, Gary. You move Secretary General Blo Red Cross, Vanuatu Red Cross, Dickinson. Who's you got any last talk where you want to share?
Yes, I think one something we missing at Red Cross na, I think proper recognition Red Cross by the government itself. From government we set up Red Cross in 1982 by an act of parliament. So we want statutory body. PME on the statutory body, the government never included them in budget plan. So although Red Cross got mandate plus mass make a emergency response here, plus strengthen them Red Cross plus serve deliver emergency response. And we need him support plus government too. And Mr. Hope say one day by one provincial government or national government by look service we try to put one small budget plus Red Cross so that we will say fund them all cost plus we will remain exist and serve respond lo time lo one emergency. So me want something where me look say me hope I happen sometimes. And me upset little bit recently last year only go remove from privilege lo Red Cross lo cut duty exemption lo anything was I karami come inside lo help him. So now only cut him out him too. So only weekend and bed. Only start look say every disaster Red Cross me first responder. But me will really struggle lo. Keep him we will exist without all funding support of them from donor came limited no more. Then we hope one day by government he looks at own Red Cross plan and then he start chipping out one small budget to help him society. Thank you.
Thank you, Tomas. Finally, Ifrit, you got any last intervention where you want to make him before you finish?
So I think do something more. You mean in terms of recovery, you got NDMO. I think only issue currently is mostly you got meetings time you got one disaster. So same say doctor Italy you missed a lot reactive state yet. You good probably me move call proactive. Set up meetings quarterly or whatever, make sure say every stakeholder involved it come together, sit down, discuss some ways forward or possible ways to support them each other. Second one, usually telecommunications only blow time blow state of emergency only label them as essential service. I think if good blow government look side telecommunications, especially in this day and era, I mean, come one need for most population. So I think it's time to look how now probably survey telecommunications as an essential service for the country. I think with them EMEA by survey facilitating plenty something down the line, make it much smoother.
Thank you, Fred. And we want to tell them thank you, everyone. Where if I name time, sit down, story and small, topic, resilience, especially side digital resilience, country yumi. You used to follow. Thank you, Tomas. We used to follow session here. And me, you join me, you tell them thank you, all panelists play me. You got Dr. Chef. You got Efret from Vodafone. You got Gary Plo Digital Mo Dickinson long Vanuatu Red Cross. So thank you to much where you follow and thank you to much lol panelist play me by hemia hemika end long session blow you milo today. Thank you.